G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, subscribe, and yes, Argentina versus England at home. This was a really tough performance for the Argentinians, really lackluster performance, I think. A lot of Argentinian fans probably do not want to wake up on a Sunday or Saturday to watch this result from their team. Especially after the outstanding performance against the British and Irish Lions a couple of weeks ago, away in Ireland, and a very spirited, very physical performance in that in that matchup, to kind of come into this one to almost just like rolled over in the second half, after beating themselves against the wall in the first half. This was really not the results I think a lot of fans, Argentinian fans, are going to be very happy about. The big problem with Argentina versus England is that historically, for whatever reason, the two teams seems like England just seems to be like the kryptonite to Argentina, right? It's like you're playing rock, paper, scissors, and England is the scissors, and Argentina happens to be the paper every time. And the style the two teams play are pretty similar, in my opinion. There is no, if you look out on paper, there is no particular big advantage to the England, an exception to the scrum. But then again, the big names for the England scrums, like Genja, not even here. So really the difference ultimately comes down to, I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if it's just, I just don't know. Like Argentina, you see this under Contempomi flogged the Wallabies last year. They upset the All Blacks, and it's just and then also even against the Springboks, they fared quite well. And for some reason against England, they're just struggles almost every time, regardless of the circumstances. And again, I was expecting this to be much closer. They kind of just rolled over in the second half. The game got really, a bit of a stalemate in the first half. There was one point in the first half, England had 2 yellow cards. There was a high head-on-head collision and a repeated penalties pretty much within 5 minutes. So there was 2 players off the field. There was 13 players on the field for the England side, and Argentina could not score a single point. Not only they didn't score a single point, but George Ford reminded all the Argentinians of 2023 Rugby World Cup, kicked the drop goal in this period, and it attempted one more at the end of the first period as well. And just nightmare stuff from George Ford, just to rub it in on the Argentinian fans. So first half finished 3-0 to Argentina, to England, for the drop goal from George Ford when they had 2 players in the bin. Yeah, so it is just left you scratching. And also in the first half, Argentina was not like without any opportunities. They got held up over the try line 3 times. Yeah, so I genuinely don't know what, I don't know how to explain this. It's just like one of those things where I mean, bad luck could be attributed to some of this, but I mean, 3 times in a row, there has to be some kind of technique or skill, some issues, coordination going on there with the Argentinian side to have, maybe the England figure something out, the way that Argentina like to run their pods or something, to hold them up so effectively, especially when they had players in the bin. But it was, again, really, I don't know how to explain that. And then also the kicking game from England, once again, George Ford on the field, really comfortable. Not enough pressure, I think, is applied to George Ford. And England just dominated the kicking game and pinned the Argentina inside their own, keep the ball playing the areas away from their try line, especially when they're under the pressure. And Argentina was not able to capitalize on that. Some of this, like the offload style that we're seeing from Argentina last year against like the Wallabies, the post-contact offloads, when they started to play that, we saw the tries come through, but we just didn't really see much of that in the first half. It was pretty like structured style of rugby, and maybe that's why, because that's how England like to play themselves, is kind of like playing into their training drills. And when the Argentinians started to like throw the ball around a little bit, started to do that offload amongst themselves around the sidelines, that's when they kind of like score their tries in their second half. I thought some of the English new boys was really, really physical, really, really good. Like what's his name? Baxter was really physical. Some of the wingers performed really well as well. Rubik, how many tries? Did 2 tries tonight, I think. But just outstanding efforts from a lot of the England young players on the field. So, and I think most importantly for England, they continue to make that mindset shift from just milk penalties and cling on to 3 points to actually try to play rugby, play open style rugby, to try to leave that mind, that shackle of the former Eddie Jones style behind. And they really showed in the second half, despite the scoreboard only leading by 3, they came out bang, bang, bang. 3 tries in pretty short successions, just from the endeavor, the ambition to play rugby and score more points against the opposition, to impose themselves over the for some tries. And it really showed that they that's like a pretty big mind shift, because in the old England days, they would be very happy to kick a bunch of threes, especially some of those early 30 penalties given out in the second half. Instead of they went for the tries and they got themselves on the board. So really well done for England and some of the youngsters, and most importantly, continued shifting away from the mindset of just goal kicking. Let's have a look at the match stats of the game. 2 tries to Argentina to England's 434 run meters to Argentina to 283 for England. So England really managed the kicking game a lot better than Argentina and defended really well as a result. 22 turnovers conceded for Argentina to the England's 16. 104 tackles made for Argentina, 205 for England. Only 24 missed tackles for England, despite making almost double the amount of tackles. Argentina 28 missed tackles themselves as well. So completion rate much, much lower for Argentina. Kicks in play, 31 for Argentina, 41 for England. You think Warren Gatland is coaching this team at this point. And the kick meters, it really high as well. We're going to look at that in a second. 1 conversion missed by George Ford. 1 conversion missed by Argentina, and 1 penalty missed by Carreras as well, right in front in the first half. And again, they kicked that penalty when England had players in the bin. Yeah, you opted for a penalty, and England had a player in the bin, and you missed. That's really... I mean, the decision to go for the penalty when you're playing against 14... I think that was only 1 player, that against, a 14 player in the bin, was really pretty bad. So, yeah, anyway... 1,292 kick meters for England, 903 for Argentina. We've got 13 lineouts for Argentina, 2 lost. 17 lineouts for England, 2 lost as well, slightly better. 1 scrum loss for Argentina, no losses for England. I think England had a slight scrum advantage there overall, but not too significant in my opinion. And then we got 7 penalties conceded for Argentina, 6 for England, 2 yellow cards. The England basically gave away a bunch of penalties in a very short period of time, and then they kind of tidied themselves up, especially in the second half. So big shift in mentality in the second half, and a big improvement in the second half of England's side, whereas Argentina kind of really got too late before they finally starting to kind of wake up to the style that needs to be played to actually put points on the board against England. So let's do a really quick point summary of the game. So, yeah, it took about, so the both teams had kind of started in a bit of a stale. It took about 17 minutes before this, there was about 15 minutes maybe. There was a yellow card against one of the English players. Who was it? One of the locks or the blindside flank or something. Anyway, there was a yellow card against the English player, head-on-head collision. And then Argentina opted to kick a penalty and then missed. So, 20 minutes in the game. After this as well, there was another yellow card for repeated penalties around the rocks, and then so now that England was down to 14 players, and then 13 players, 20 minutes into the game, England finally got kind of inside the Pumas half, built some pressure, and then eventually George Ford kicks a drop goal for a 3-point lead to England. Yeah, after this, Argentina put a lot of pressure on, could not score, despite having players in the bin. Just before halftime as well, George Ford tried another drop goal, 50-meter out, from quite a big angle. He missed that, but still, Argentina did try very hard, held up 3 times during the first half, and not really happy about that. But still, the game is not out of reach at this point. Argentina had, statistically had overwhelming dominance, and it's still, anybody's game at this point. If they continue their pressure, you figure that they'll win this one, but no. Second half, England came out completely different mentality, just attacking rugby, lots of pressure, center field, lots of quick balls around the rocks, and then eventually Tom Rubik gets the ball into the corner, 8-0 to England. And then a few minutes later, 45 minutes, England again into the red zone of Argentina, building inside the 22. There was a over-the-top cutout ball, pinpoint accurate to Freddie Stewart, who receives the ball in front of a gap, ran through for the try, 15 points to nil to England. And then a few minutes later, this was literally like 48 minutes within 10-minute period. Again, furious breakdown speed for England after Tom Ford kind of like found a bit of a gap and then sent his outside backs through a bit of a space and then got really close to the try line. And then again, just lots of pounding, and eventually there was a pass to blindside to the short side, and Tom Rubik dots the board into the corner. 22 points to nil. Suddenly, England scores 3 tries in 10 minutes. Okay, so heartbreaking stuff. Like, seriously heartbreaking stuff to watch. 52 minutes in the game. The Argentina finally starting opening up some of the game. There was a little kick behind, and they recovered the ball, and then the ball kind of went one side of the field to another, and then there was a one of the Argentinian wingers was getting pushed out, and he threw the ball back in the field, and Pablo Matera was right there in support, got the ball and ran over the try line for the try. 5 points to 22 to to England. 60 minutes into the game, again, Argentina keeping the ball, like passing the ball back and forth between the back line, between the entire team, essentially going from one side to the other, and then they were down on the right hand side, just some nice little pass between the players, went through, and then Rubiolo gets the final pass in field, went in for the try for Argentina. 12 points to 22. You figure that maybe Argentina will come back to this one, but no. England was able to regather the tempo. They got a penalty almost a few minutes after the try was scored. And then George Ford kicked like a 40-meter penalty. 12 points to 25. 68 minutes of the game, another penalty from England. More was set out 40 meters out. George Ford kicked another one. 12 points to 28. And finally, 75 minutes in the game, the fatigue really starting to kick in for Argentina. And you can see the back line there. Everyone's kind of like all over the place a little bit. And then England just put the pressure on. The ball went out wide to a debutant, Murley. He kind of like dummy and ran himself and then dots the ball down. I mean, reached over for the try line after getting tackled just before it. So final score, 12 points to 35. England gets the win over Argentina. I don't know what the Argentinians needs to do. I think they may have, I think it was maybe like mentally they were a little bit beaten after the first half when they couldn't score against 14 players. They were down 3 points. I think it just mentally got to them a little bit and not able to clear that, kind of like reset themselves before the second half. Whereas England was able to mentally reset and come out with a completely different new look in the second half. And Argentina came out and just went, wow, guys, should have scored more points, feeling sorry about themselves. And that was the problem for them in that game. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week for the news. Cheers.